Hey, welcome to my August reading vlog. I have read a lot in the beginning, week of this month. I felt a little bit under the weather the past couple days, so I've been binge reading an insane amount. So I'm gonna go over the books I've finished and the book I am working on currently. I've finished 3 books. I think it's the 8th today. So in the past 8.5 days, which is pretty good for me, and I'm happy that I finished so much. So the first book I finished was A Secret History, Mistborn. I can't say anything really about this book without spoilers, except that it is the Mistborn trilogy through the eyes of a different character, a character who's more behind the scenes. And I happen to really like this character, so I was excited when I found out that there was a book, or a novella. It's pretty short. It took me a day to read it. And I really, really liked it. It made me so sad. It was so important for the trilogy. So if you have read the Mistborn trilogy era 1, I've heard you should read it after The Bands of Mourning. I haven't read that yet, but I really liked it, and it shed so much light, especially since I had just finished Hero of Ages, and oh my gosh, it was amazing. I loved it so much, or I was really addicted to it, because if you have ever read the book where you know the plot and how it ends, you are speeding through it to see how you get to that point, because you know the plot points. That's how it was for me. I was just tearing through that thing, so excited, and it just enhanced the series so much. So if you have read Mistborn Era 1, read A Secret History. It's just so fantastic, and I cannot praise it enough. Okay, so the next book I finished was A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Sparks. He is a very famous romance author. If you've ever heard of Dear John or The Notebook, he wrote both of those. My sister made me watch Dear John this past week, and I did not like it at all. But Walk to Remember is so good. I'm not a big romance reader, though I'm actually reconsidering that because I really enjoyed this book. It was just, the prose was incredible. I felt like I was being transported into this southern town in the late 50s, and I got to just live through the narrator of this story. The narrator is Landon Carter Sr. He becomes student body president, and he has to go to the homecoming dance, and he has no choice because all the eligible girls are taken but to take Jamie Carter, minister's daughter, just not very popular at all. She always carries around a Bible. She's very plain. Now, I watched the movie right after I finished the book, and it sucked because it took everything charming and healthy and amazing about this book, and it just threw it up. Jamie was much less amazing in the movie. Landon was a complete, he was a criminal, and Landon in this book, while he's not the best kid ever, you can see how he really cares about helping Jamie, and he does so many selfless things in this book, and to see that defiled by the stupid 2002 movie, which absolutely, it destroyed the time period. It did not land well. Jamie was such an incredible character, because she is literally perfect. She helped out all these orphans and was always kind to people no matter how much they made fun of her. And Landon was a normal kid. He was not a bad boy, and he did some incredibly nice things for her. Like, obviously, they end up being very close, and you probably know the rest from there. And just seeing this charming, like being in this charming setting and laughing out loud at this author's way of describing this quirky little town, quirky little Southern Baptist church, quirky, just, it was so beautiful and so amazing, and it started me laughing, and I ended up crying. Not at the scenes you'd expect, because there were some deep themes of forgiveness and being steadfast and loyal. I loved it so much. I really was swept away by this novel. It was also very realistic in its romance, which is important to me. I don't want this story about two people who are like perfect and they fall in love as soon as they lay eyes on each other. This was so subtle and so heartfelt and sweet at the same time, and I just loved this book. It was great. If you're sick of traditional romance, I really suggest this one. Okay, the next one that I finished was The Kiss of Deception. Oh my word. I started out the first 50% of this book. I had so many critiques. I was annoyed that it was in first person because it switched characters, and I didn't feel like any character had a distinct voice. They didn't really see much creativity with how they thought differently. There are 3 characters that we see the first person perspective of in this book. 2 of them are unnamed for a long time in this book, and one of them is a princess who ran away on her wedding day because she didn't want to be married against her will. I know, we've heard it a million times. She runs away to have a normal life, fall in love with who she wants to, and she ends up in a love triangle with these 2 strange people who come to the tavern and just hang around. I was like, okay, this sounds like every fantasy romance I have ever seen in, like, young adult fantasy. And then, about the 55% point, there was the biggest and craziest twist I probably not ever read, but I was so shocked. I didn't see it coming in the least. I actually spent like 5 pages really confused because I was like, wait, what? It was quite the plot twist, and it made everything make sense. I still can't forget its love triangle-iness, though. The lack of voice in the characters made a little more sense, and as I paid more attention, I found that there was a good amount of voice, especially in our main character, Leah. And just that twist made almost everything better. The love triangle, still not great. There was a lot of like romancy, ishy, swishy stuff, and I was annoyed. And then the twist made a lot of things click. It wasn't perfect. I didn't enjoy a lot of paragraphs. There was a lot of rambling, a lot of history and backstory being dumped on me, and I got pretty bored within individual chapters, but wow. The further this book goes along, the further I began to respect it, because this author obviously had the intention of fooling me for like half the book. And the main character, I was annoyed at her multiple times. She lied, she was cheated a little bit, and then I began to respect her. She really holds her own. She has a strong personality, which is amazing, and not in a and I'll be shooting for my own hand, not like annoying Merida Brave stuff. I think she's definitely imperfect. She's pretty immature. She has a very sharp tongue, but she is so strong, so prideful, so driven and amazing, and I respect her so much. And she also has that very strong, independent woman vibe, but it's not overdone, really. It's very, like, it's clear that she's trained well, that she's practiced for this against her parents' wishes, and I love her a lot. And the last one is Mansfield Park. Sorry if this part was a little long. Mansfield Park, I didn't make it that far into. I read a few more pages. I just love the characters right now. I don't get why anyone wouldn't like Fanny. Like, I get that she's not like a Leah, but she is so beautiful and she endures so much pain. And I love her. And I also love Edmund, and I'm just so mad at her rich, mean relatives because she's just a sweetheart. And I've really been enjoying this. I'm gonna try to read it partially on audiobook, partially in person, partially in paperback. But yeah, these are half the books I finished. These are some of the books I read. And I will check in with you maybe in the middle of the week, or if this is like super long, cute montage of me unpacking books in my garage. And yeah, it was crazy fun. Hi friends. So, I'm super excited. I have the best news ever. That being this. I got a library haul, kind of. I mean, I got Lies of Locke Lamora, which was not on my TBR because I don't think I expected to get it this month, but I'm kind of running out of books. So, Lies of Locke Lamora. I'm so excited. I started it. It hasn't taken me in right away, but I'm thinking all this setup is really going to pay off later. Fantasy books aren't the easiest to start because there's a lot to get used to, and I'm hoping that once I get to really know the character of Locke, I'm going to fall as deeply in love with it as everyone who I've heard has loved it has, and I'm just really excited. I've heard this is an amazing book, and it's about a guy named Locke who pulls a heist kind of thing. And the Mistborn, which I read last, followed thieves pulling a heist, and I really enjoyed that format, so I'm so excited, and I'm gonna tear through this thing. And then the other two I got were the Avatar graphic novels, The Search, part 1 and 2. Part 3 is coming probably like tomorrow kind of time period. And I'm skipping The Promise for now because it's in way higher demand at the library than The Search is. So I was able to get a hold of these sooner. But, oh my word, it is so good. I finished, I'm like less than halfway through the second one right now. I finished the first one and it was so good. I'm like, okay, so spoilers for Avatar, the show, if you, and maybe even The Promise. I haven't read it yet, so I don't know if there's spoilers, but there might be. So spoilers for Avatar, the show. I'm gonna try to keep it mostly spoiler free, but I mean, these occur post-show, so yeah. Anyway, we're following the team. Actually, no. If you haven't read Avatar, do not watch this, okay? This is a massive alert to not continue watching if you have not watched Avatar. And if you haven't and you don't care about spoilers, I don't care because I still want you to watch the show. So, that out of the way. We are following the team and they are searching for Zuko and Azula's mom. They're all together. Azula is along. And, oh my word, it's just so good. The characters I know and love are here on the comic book page and I get to see them again, and it's almost as if the show is playing out. That's how real they are to me and how real this is to me now, and I just love it so much. The plot is amazing. I just see plot twists. I'm just like, this is happening. It's so well done. There are a couple of things I don't like what they're doing, like Sokka in this. Sokka has always been the goofball. I don't hate everything about him in these, but they kind of, I felt like they forgot about a lot of his character development and they kind of made him the funky, harmless guy with the boomerang again, and that's not who he is anymore, so that bothered me. But oh my gosh, I am so excited about these. Just the characters and the plot is something I cared a lot about in the show. I am so curious about as to what happened to Ursa, and Zuko still has a huge hole in his life where his parents should be, and so does Azula. So I just am excited. I love these so much. They're so well done, so beautiful, and if you are a fan of Avatar, read these, and I'm gonna be going through a lot of these, so be looking forward to more stuff on Avatar. It's so good. Okay, the book, well, another thing I got from the library was this Beast, which I can't read because I haven't read the first book yet, so I don't know. I couldn't cancel the hold. So it's here. You're gonna be begging me to read it, but I can't. So sad. Alright, the big thing I did this week was read On the Fence. I didn't read a ton of stuff besides On the Fence. I have a couple of things, but this was such a good book, and I might be more into romance than I had thought at the beginning of this month. But this book was so good. It followed a 16-year-old girl named Charlie who has 3 older brothers, and she's a tomboy and of the highest kind. She's very into sports and wrestling her brothers and doing really dangerous things, and she never wears girly clothes or makeup, and she gets a job where that stuff changes and she may have to hide a new part of herself from her brothers and her friends, and then there's a romance, and it is so good, so well done. It made me love all the characters. It made me kind of love Charlie. She did a lot of stupid things in this book, but I did still love her. And I loved this book. I totally recommend it. I think the characters were all so real feeling and amazing, and it dealt with some really deep things. The ending, there was a lot going on. I don't know if that's probably, there was a lot going on at the ending that wasn't, I don't know, it got very, very heavy very fast. And also there's a thing, I don't know why this is a trope in young adult romance, but why are all these girls' mothers dead? Laura Jean from All the Boys, mom dead. Charlie's mother is dead as well. The horrible movie, which shall not be named, her mother died too. Kissing Booth, if you were wondering. It just seems like a trope. Oh, here comes the sun. Sorry. Probably messed up the lighting, sorry. Anyway, this was so good. It made me want so many things out of life that Charlie has, and I loved her. I thought she was incredible, and the love interest was three-dimensional. Good job. I loved her relationship with the love interest and how it's a friends to lovers scenario, which I loved. It's probably second in my mind only to enemies to lovers. I love enemies to lovers ridiculously much, but friends to lovers is way up there too. And it was so sweet and so well done and so deep and actually meaningful. Besides, this is a summer romance that probably won't last. And it was wonderful, and I just such a feel-good read, and loved it. All right, I apologize for the very different camera angle. I just jumping in to talk about the other book I started that I completely forgot about. Heart of Deception, second book in the Remnant Chronicles. It's good. It's really good so far. It's hard to talk about traditional fantasy. Well, it's the kind of fantasy, YA fantasy, that I'm not a huge fan of, because it's not like fully committed to being fantasy, but it is so well done. I don't know how she's gonna get out of this situation. There is no possible way. The stakes are so high. She is such a good character. I love this character so much. She's so strong and resilient, and she still can be super annoying at times. And I think it's wonderful. And that's all I have to say about it so far. Can't give spoilers for the first book. All I can say is she's in a rough situation right now, and it's a very different turn from what I thought the series would take. I did not think the series would be about this, and it is, and I'm loving it. Other thing, Alloy of Law is the Mistborn Era 2. I did not want to get into Mistborn Era 2 right now. I am reading Lies of Locke Lamora. That's the fantasy series I want to be immersed in right now. I don't want to have two competing, and I kind of went into it thinking I just need to wait until I get Lies of Locke Lamora later this week, and I just needed something to hold me over, and I was like, I cannot keep reading this right now. It's very cowboy. Not loving it. I just don't love the cowboy genre. But it's Brandon Sanderson. I'm going to love it. I just went into it with like, I cannot love this right now. And also, not a fan of cowboys anyway, so it's good right now. I'm going to read it later. It's just not while I'm reading Lies of Locke Lamora. I don't want those two competing. for my attention, and when I'm thinking, I don't want to confuse them for each other. So I think that's it for the core of what I've read. I did kind of like deep annotate a chapter of Sense and Sensibility because so much happened in it, and I realized when I watched the BBC show of Sense and Sensibility how meaningful that scene was, because they kind of flopped it, and it just, Jane Austen is amazing. That's all I want to say, and I'm so excited to keep going with Mansfield Park. So these are the books I read this week. They were all so good, and I'm in love, and just this month, I love this month, and okay, I'm gonna stop because this is probably like the super longest vlog ever, but thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, I love you, and I will see you guys next Saturday. I want to do more vlogs so I can talk about these, so maybe you'll see more than one vlog this month. Alright, thanks for watching. Alright, I'll see you next Saturday. Bye bye.